It's the ultimate betrayal. Prince William's heartbreak today over 3 sickening new revelations, including a tell-all book on his mother, Princess Diana, by his own uncle Earl Spencer. Something that will destroy William, infuriate William. Do not be deluded to believe that Harry and Meghan do not have a whole year to slowly but surely commercialize the 30th anniversary of the death of Princess Diana. Yes, it's gross and grim, but this couple are increasingly desperate and they need money. And where is the money going to come from? We know it's from a likely Netflix documentary. I believe it will end up on Netflix, being filmed at the Althorp estate. We've got this breaking bombshell news, the on-the-record statement from Earl Spencer that for the first time at 62 years old, he is writing this tell-all book on Princess Diana. He says it's to set the record straight once and for all ahead of the 30th anniversary of her death.
6 weeks. That's all it took. 6 weeks after Harry and Meghan let themselves into Althorp, the one man who spent 29 years keeping the world away from Diana has put a price on her. £28, 384 pages. Out on the 22nd of September, and he is reading the audiobook himself. Another royal book, another payday. Except of every single person alive on this earth, Charles Spencer is the last one anybody ever expected to do this. This is the man who would not let Netflix put a camera inside his house.
I'd be interested to know, there's always the story from Paul Burrell, Diana's valet, that Charles Spencer didn't want Diana in her lifetime, but was quite happy to charge £20 a time for people to come and visit her grave, which he thought was pretty ironic, to say the least.
The Crown wanted Althorp. He said no. This is the man who shut down his own sister's exhibition and never reopened it, who buried her on an island in the middle of a lake so nobody could walk up to her, who has taken 3 separate newspapers to court over how they wrote about him and his sister and made every one of them apologize. And this week, he announced a tell-all. They didn't even have to work hard for it. Harry and Meghan spent a week at his house in July, children and all. On the 23rd, Meghan put the grave on Instagram.
Earl Spencer was actually horrified about that picture that we saw posted by Meghan on Instagram showing Harry and Archie and Lily going to Diana's gravesite for the first time, even carrying flowers at Althorp.
5 weeks and 3 days later, the brother who never sold a word about her has 400 pages and 12 foreign editions. Honestly, the audacity of the timing alone. Mike Graham said out loud on his own show what half of Britain typed into a comment box that morning. He called him a scumbag. His words, not mine. And he did not blink saying them. Then he landed the bit that matters. For him to castigate the royals for not looking after the kids that he couldn't give a stuff about, I'm not having it.
Duchess of Sussex also revealed that she had suicidal thoughts and had struggled with her mental health after joining the royal family. Well, I'm going to translate that piece of bullshit too. She made up. She spun a story. And by the way, what the Daily Telegraph seems to be forgetting is that Meghan and Harry also accused all of us, Brits who voted for Brexit like me, as being racist scumbags.
Over on Talk, Kevin O'Sullivan put it to Angela Levin gently. He doesn't mention that he's going to make quite a lot of money out of this, does he? And Levin, who has written about that family and knows exactly what she's saying, agreed twice over. He's very rich. He's gonna get even richer, even richer.
He's not always, I suspect, as financially rich as his status would suggest. He had to sell some land the other day. I assume not because of the reasons he gave, which were that it was becoming dirty and people were dumping stuff on the land. We need money. One always thinks that aristocrats in huge houses are very rich. The cost of maintenance is always enormous. There's an old story about the aristocrats hitting the bad times when because it's hard to make a living. So I think he's done it for money and for fame. But also, as I say, in Charles's lifetime, he wants to point out the misery of his sister's marriage and everything else. And I think that's what he's going to do.
Yes. Australian breakfast television had it by lunchtime, already copying a lot of blowback, they said, for putting this book out. And underneath the biggest video on YouTube that day, at 917 likes and climbing, one line beat every other comment in the pile. They all want to cash in on Diana's memory. How disgraceful. Nobody wants to say the quiet part, so I will. He didn't wake up one morning in August and change his mind. He had company in July.
There was a story yesterday, or a couple of days ago, that Earl Spencer, the late Diana's brother, who of course owns and runs Althorp, is about to write a book, or is about to publish a book, saying his side of the story from the fallout of Diana's death and everything that happened. Somebody said, I think it was Peter Blexley, maybe they're heading to Althorp. Maybe that's an olive branch. We have no idea. But I mean, this is an extraordinary revelation, and for me it comes down to one thing. I got the distinct impression they hated this country, thought this country was racist, thought this country was not the sort of place they wanted to bring up. They didn't want to be part of the royal family. They found it too suffocating, and now, because they're on their backsides, they're crawling back to us. 2 more economic migrants looking for a way out.
To understand what just happened, you have to know what this man was until about 6 weeks ago. Start with the island. When Diana was brought home, her brother chose the ground, not the church at Great Brington, where every Spencer for 4 centuries has gone. An island in the middle of an ornamental lake on his own estate, water all the way round it. And he wrote down why. In his own book, in his own words, he called that remoteness a buffer against the interventions of the insane and the ghoulish. That is not a grave. That is a perimeter. And then Netflix came knocking, waving the biggest check in television. The Crown was the biggest thing on television.
I'm going to call this Project Diana. We've seen Harry and Meghan, especially Meghan, using Archie and Lily now as part of the Sussex brand. But Diana's next. There's going to be a Diana documentary. Netflix will make it. They'll pay Harry and Meghan a lot of money for it. William will be furious because it will be made without his permission. It's his mother's too.
Tens of millions of people watching a version of his sister every Christmas. And the production wanted the house she grew up in. He turned them down flat, wouldn't lend them a corridor. Then the exhibition, Diana. A celebration ran in the stable block at Althorp from 1998. 150 of her things. The wedding dress. It raised more than £1.2 million for her memorial fund. In 2013, he closed it, and it has never come back. There were people at the time who read that as him deliberately switching off the Diana industry, then the newspapers.
We know that he really does not like King Charles at all. Certainly he doesn't seem to be fond of Prince William. He is fond of Prince Harry. He's angry with the BBC because of the Panorama interview. So there's a lot of stuff there that people will be very keen to hear about. It seems to have been kept under wraps somewhat because it's coming out in about 3 weeks' time. So clearly they didn't want this to get out too far in advance.
June 2018, the High Court. He accepted damages and an unreserved apology from the publishers of the Daily Mail over how they had written about him and Diana. July 2021, the Times printed a correction and paid his costs. He said publicly that made three papers, made to say sorry over his sister. And then the BBC. He is the reason the Dyson report exists. He is the man who wouldn't let the Panorama business die. And when it finally landed, the finding was that Martin Bashir deceived and induced him, that Charles Spencer was a credible witness, and the corporation issued a full and unconditional apology and paid £1.42 million to 7 of Diana's charities.
The BBC reporter about Martin Bashir lied to both Charles and to Diana to get that astonishing interview, which produced the memorable phrase that there are 3 in this marriage. And of course, Diana, according to Charles Spencer, and I'm sure he's right, became intensely paranoid because of the revelations that Bashir had fabricated, that she was under constant surveillance and couldn't trust anybody, especially her own staff.
29 years. A film crew turned away, an exhibition shut, 3 newspapers apologizing, a national broadcaster on its knees. Every single item on that list is the same man telling somebody else they don't get to profit from her. So, what changed?
Now, I'm just going to lay my cards on the table here. I'm not a big fan of Earl Spencer. I think he has been a malign influence in a lot of ways in recent years.
Here is the sequence. Nothing added, nothing spun, just the dates. In the order they happen, the 10th and 11th of July, Althorp closes to the public. That house is open 2 months a year, and for 2 of those days, the gates went shut. Harry, Meghan, and the 2 children were inside, on the estate, at the grave. On the 23rd of July, the grave went up on Instagram in a holiday post. You saw that video, I'm not doing it twice.
He has aligned himself very much with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. To me, and this is an opinion, and you are more than welcome to disagree, this is a money play, and it is also a play to make it much easier for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle next year to cash in even further on Princess Diana's memory, because they're like, well, look, Earl Spencer's done this book. It's just our chance now to do the same thing.
Then the strangest part, and this one went almost unnoticed. Days after the backlash started, Kat Jarman, the archaeologist Charles Spencer, married in Arizona in May, posted her own photographs from another Spencer family grave, read at the time as quiet support, not a rebuke. Support. The house was closing ranks around them, not against them. Then came the 18th of August and the book. 5 weeks and 3 days from her post to his announcement.
Tom Sykes of The Royalist writing, the historic book is due to be published next month by Penguin Michael Joseph under the title Swan Song, Diana, My Sister. He says it will be a deeply personal account of his relationship with his sibling. In other words, he's doing a spare. He's telling it all.
And there is a detail buried in the Australian coverage that not one British channel picked up. It seems to have been kept under wraps somewhat. The Sunrise team said they didn't want this to get out too far in advance. Think about what that means. The biggest royal book in years, and the publisher gave it a 5-week fuse. Penguin do not accidentally underrun a title like this. Somebody decided the thing was going to land before anybody had time to react to it. How convenient, and it wasn't even his first step through the door.
I don't buy it either, Dan. I just find this to be absolutely cringe, especially even the title of the book, Swan Song. It's just absolutely, I think, sort of despicable that he is once again leveraging the memory of his sister in order to make money. I just don't think there's any way to look at it. To be a bit cynical as well, he does have 3 ex-wives, so maybe this is part of why he needs another book to put out there as well. And it's just a ploy to capture the memory of his sister for himself.
9 months earlier, he had already sat down and taken part in somebody else's Diana book, published last November. So the wall didn't come down in August. The wall has been coming down all year, and July was the week the gates opened. Now, I can't tell you what was said in that house, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Nobody can. But the comment sections have made their minds up, and they are not being subtle. I can just imagine what they were all planning when Harry and Meghan and Charles Spencer got together at Althorp. One of them wrote, "Absolutely sickening." That's the story doing the rounds. And the dates don't argue with. He spent 29 years keeping people off that island. In July, he shut the gates so 2 of them could have it to themselves.
With the 30th anniversary of Diana's tragic death on the skyline, I've been inundated yet again with requests for interviews about my sister. This has convinced me to write down my own thoughts and memories once and for all, rather than having the discomfort of again reading the opinions of others, many of which are based on untruths that have become accepted over time. So what you see there is Earl Spencer is trying to make a moral argument as to why he's doing this. Now, I haven't seen the book. Of course, I haven't read the manuscript. I will read the manuscript. We will report on it. But I hope Earl Spencer is honest about some of the terrible fallouts he had with Diana in the final years of her life, because she was not happy with a lot of the decisions that he made.
The best part of all this is that nobody has to guess at the motive. He wrote it down. First sentence of his own announcement. With the 30th anniversary of Diana's tragic passing on the skyline, he said, "I've been inundated yet again with requests for interviews about my sister." Read that back slowly. Not that the record is wrong, not that she deserves better. The anniversary is coming. The man led with the date, and the rest of the statement gives him away twice more. The discomfort, he calls it, of again reading the opinions of others.
Not only he has done, but Harry has done as well. Just leveraging Diana again and again and again and again, just to hope that the money rolls in. And it does, because again, they are getting their dividends based on her and her legacy, not them of themselves. And that Harry and Earl Spencer align here, again, I think shows where Harry's loyalties really lie, and how Earl Spencer, you could say, is encouraging some of this kind of mining of Diana's memory.
His discomfort, then this. I've been invited to write this book repeatedly from the actual day of Diana's funeral. Now is the time. He could have written it in any of 29 years. This is the year it's worth the most, and he said so with his own mouth, right? So let's look at the money, which is not shy. £28, 384 pages. 12 languages, a separate American edition, and he narrates the audiobook himself. The man who wouldn't lend Netflix a corridor is now lending them his voice.
This is a book I've been invited to write repeatedly since the actual day of Diana's funeral. Now is the time for me to finally put it down on the page. Now, my question is why? Why now? Why? The 30th anniversary means you're going to make more money? Why now?
Then there's the bit nobody has run, and I don't know how they missed it. That £28 book was already going for $14 at a high street chain. Half price. 5 weeks before a single human being on Earth had read one word of it. Now put that next to the man's own history, which is where it stops being funny. The BBC paid £1.42 million into 7 of Diana's charities over the Bashir business. His own exhibition put over £1.2 million into her memorial fund.
there's no doubt he's going to earn millions of dollars from this book and what follows. And he could have been very discreet, as most people would have. But on the other hand, he sees that King Charles wrote his memoirs and Harry's written his, and many other members of the royal family. Their constant outpourings. These books are fascinating for people to read because it's, after all, lifting the lid on a secret world and always damaging that world. So why not add to it?
This man has turned his sister into charitable money before. He knows exactly how it's done. On this one, there is no pledge, nothing announced, not a penny promised to anybody. Mike Graham again, and he does not dress it up. You might as well have said, I decided to cash in finally on my sister and make a few quid. And here's the thing that gets me. The man has sued 3 newspapers for suggesting he treated his sister badly. 3. And he has just put her face on a jacket and discounted her by 50% before publication day. You couldn't make it up.
I think for William that is heartbreaking, given he did have this deal explicitly with Prince Harry, but obviously it spread to Earl Spencer that after the 20th anniversary there wasn't going to be any of this big family cashing in on anniversaries of Diana's death, because it's tacky and it doesn't let her rest in peace.
Somebody has to pay for this, and it isn't going to be him. The morning it broke, it was called The Ultimate Betrayal and William's Heartbreak, and it was framed as the first of 3 separate things landing on that man in a single day. A tell-all about his mother, written by his own uncle, and he found out the way you and I did. That announcement didn't go to William. It went to everybody. Reuters, The Guardian, The Telegraph, The Independent, ITV, all of them.
Harry could be collaborating with his uncle, because I don't trust these 2 individuals. You know, I actually feel a lot of sympathy for Prince William. I think that this will anger, frustrate, upset William, but I think that Harry will be completely fine with it.
The same morning, the same quotes. A publisher's rollout dressed up as a revelation. Australian television was blunter than anyone here dared to be. We know that he really does not like King Charles at all, they said. He doesn't seem to be fond of Prince William. He is fond of Prince Harry. That last bit is in commentary. That one's documented, in his own words, twice.
Well, I'm absolutely sure that Prince William didn't hear anything. I think the relationship between Charles Spencer and William is pretty non-existent. Whether Harry heard about it when he visited with Meghan is, well, we don't know. But he wouldn't have asked, Charles Spencer would not have asked Harry or William for their permission, and he wouldn't have bothered to consult them out of politeness either. I mean, he's his own man. So I don't think that he would have considered them, or for that matter, considered the king.
June 2023, Charles Spencer publicly backed Harry over the phone hacking case. January 2025, he did it again over the settlement with The Sun. It takes an enormous amount of guts, he wrote, to take on opponents like newsgroup newspapers. It's just wonderful that Harry fought for and gained an apology to his mother. She would be incredibly touched at that, and rightly proud. So the map is not in dispute. He picked a nephew, said so in public under his own name, and he's been saying it for years.
Charles, not the Charles King, but the other Charles, works very well with Harry and wants to do things with him, and they will be a most terrible twosome, because he's actually not a very nice man. He's had sort of 4 divorces with his wives, and I know that he wasn't very kind to Diana. You know, when she was feeling dreadful and she asked for a place to live, he wouldn't do it for her. So, and he's also said, in talking about his book, that he has doesn't care if it's not Diana. He's going to talk as if Diana is talking.
Right. Let me put this the simple way, mind you. It's almost cruel when you line it up. There are 2 brothers. One of them wrote a book about his mother and sold it in 43 countries. One of them made a Netflix series about her and sat down with Oprah about her, and has a documentary coming for the anniversary if you believe half of what's being said. The other one has never said a word, not one.
And I do strongly believe we will probably see a Diana documentary by Harry and Meghan next year. It's the only thing of theirs that they can sell. And so I think that is definitely what they'll be doing. And it's disturbing, but it's unfortunately not a surprise that this is a route that Earl Spencer would decide to go down. And I think he's definitely opened the door for Harry to follow suit.
29 years, the most photographed woman who ever lived was his mom, and he has never once put her on a shelf with a price on it. And it's the silent one whose uncle just walked over to the other side. The audience worked that out before the experts did. Top comment of the week, 990 likes, and it isn't even about Harry. As long as old Charlie Boy is king, it says, there will be no monarchy left for Prince William or Prince George. They're not angry about a book. They're angry that nobody in that family ever seems to stand behind the one who kept his mouth shut.
My fear is that this is all going to end up material in another documentary or another book, because that's what they need. They have run out of material. They have run out of gripes. They have run out of accusations. There isn't much more left for them to say. So is this going to be what happens next?
Now we get to why the timing matters. It's the question a broadcaster put on air to a royal biographer's face, and nobody has answered it yet. This book might put a bit of a hole in Harry and Meghan's plans to make a documentary about Princess Diana, Kevin O'Sullivan said. They've had a march stolen on them with this book, haven't they? And Angela Levin did not argue with the premise. She didn't say what documentary. She answered with the release window for the other one.
This book, I think, might put a bit of a hole in Harry and Meghan's plans to make a movie, a film, a documentary about Princess Diana, about Harry's mother. I mean, they've had a march stolen on them with this book, haven't they?
I think that's very interesting, actually, because this will be coming out in September, and Harry and Meghan's doing it. Won't come out until for a year. Actually, on the anniversary of her 30th year of how old she would have been.
Yeah.
3 separate commentators on 3 different programs inside a day and a half all landed on the same read. The book makes it easier for the next one. And the comment sections had it before any of them. 306 likes on this. The brother wants to get his book out before Harry and Meghan. Now, in fairness, and I'll say it before somebody else does, that Sussex documentary is not a done deal. Somebody close to that partnership went to The Independent and said flatly, the reports are not true. Fine, take them at their word. What is nailed down is worse for them.
Are there parallels to be drawn between Diana's unhappiness within the royal family and Meghan's subsequent unhappiness within that same family?
No, good question, but not at all. Diana wouldn't say one bad word about the Queen or anything that they did. She thought it was wonderful and she believed in the royal family. Meghan doesn't. Yeah. Meghan always wanted to be in charge and to know what she was going to do. So it's very different. I think Meghan got married so that she could learn a lot of things and make money. But I think Diana was very happy up to a certain point.
And here it is, the thing this whole video has been sitting on. Angela Levin was asked, live on air, whether Diana's unhappiness inside that family and Meghan's unhappiness are the same story. Same house, same press, same trap. Is she the new Diana? Levin didn't hedge, didn't soften it, didn't take the polite way out. No, not at all. Diana wouldn't say one bad word about the Queen, she said, or anything that they did. She thought it was wonderful and she believed in the royal family. Meghan doesn't. Meghan always wanted to be in charge. Then the line that has been going round ever after. I think Meghan got married so that she could learn a lot of things and make money. That is Angela Levin, on camera, under her own name, answering the exact question Meghan has spent 6 years trying to get the world to answer the other way.
They are horrendous, actually, and unfortunately they've come with a terrible attitude because they're going to make things that are easy for them, see the king now and then twist it. Meghan's going to make her book out of it, and Harry is going to make money out of it. It's just too awful. Meghan's wanted to make her money for a long time, so she'll use everything there. She'll have any more things to take care of.
Now look at what Penguin have printed on the front of the book. Beautiful, beloved, and then the third word on the jacket, hunted. That word, the one she's been reaching for from the moment she left, the hunted woman, the one the press broke, the one they wouldn't leave alone. 6 years of trying to make that word mean her, and a man who barely knew her has had it stamped in gold on a book about somebody else. Lady Colin Campbell has a line about Meghan she's been repeating for years, and it has never fitted anything as neatly as it fits this. She cosplays everybody that she thinks is going to somehow be a prophet to her. Well, she didn't get the story. She got the release date after it.
The Queen was criticised, Charles was criticised, everybody was criticised. It was a tragedy first and foremost, a tragedy. But the old man always told me that there was right and wrong on all sides, and one just has to learn from it and move forward. She was an incredible woman who had her flaws, like we all do. You know, people will now look and say the boys have segregated and had all their troubles because of what happened to their mother. But you know what? You just have to get on with life.
Take yourself back to the 6th of September, 1997. 2007. 2.5 billion people watching around the world, 32.1 million of them here. The largest television audience this country has ever recorded, before or after. And Charles Spencer stood up in Westminster Abbey and made a promise out loud, on behalf of the family, to all of them. On behalf of your mother and sisters, he said, I pledge that we, your blood family, will do all we can.
Charles Spencer will tell the, quote, truth about the marriage and about his sister's misery during the marriage. And we've got to remember that at her funeral, Charles Spencer delivered from the pulpit the most eviscerating damnation of the Windsors and said he was going to care for the brothers, for her sons, because their grandparents were incapable of doing it. And I think, there's every reason for King Charles to fear Charles Spencer. There's no love lost between the two men.
29 years on this week, somebody finally asked what became of that promise. And the man they asked was Dickie Arbiter, who used to speak for Buckingham Palace for a living. In other words, Arbiter said, the Spencers will take care of William and Harry. I'm not terribly sure they have, actually. Sarah McCorquodale has been very good, as has Jane Fellows. He named the two who kept it. He did not name the man who made it.
That scandal was, if you look at the entire map, Diana potentially died because she believed somebody that lied to her and told her that your security guards and the closest people around you are spying on you. So she dismissed a lot of important people around her that would have protected her in Paris that night. And if you're Charles Spencer and you're the one that made this introduction because you were lied to too, that you're right, that could be very traumatizing and you might want to set the record straight.
Now, this next part I'm going to give you plainly, mind you, it deserves that. On the night Diana was lost in Paris, Prince Charles and both of her sisters flew out, and they brought her home together on an aircraft of the Royal Squadron. Her brother did not go. He was told over the telephone. His sister Jane said the words to him, I'm afraid that's it. I'm afraid she's gone. 29 years on, the two women who got on that plane have never written a book about her, never given an interview, never sold a photograph. Between them, in 3 decades, not one public word. And the one who stayed home is...
I have to say, at the time of Diana's death, they weren't bosom buddies, she and her brother. In '93, she was undergoing tremendous stress from the paparazzi and from the media in general. Diana only had one home, Kensington Palace. She didn't have a bolt hole, and she asked her brother if she can use the garden cottage on the Althorp estate as a bolt hole to escape. And initially he agreed, and then he reneged on that turned her down, and she was bitter about that. So, the brotherly love wasn't there. He was just concerned for himself. He was citing a question of security and media intrusion. If he really cared for his sister, he would have found a way to accommodate her with a bolt hole on the Althorp estate, but he didn't.
The book lands on the 22nd of September. The anniversary is the 31st of August next year. And on that exact day, 5 hours of Diana's own voice are being released. Tapes she recorded herself in 1991 that nobody outside a very small room has ever heard. So on the day everybody's arguing about who understood her best, she'll be doing the talking. Isn't that interesting? Which leaves one question for the 22nd, and I genuinely don't know the answer to it. Everyone is assuming this is a brother defending his sister. 6 weeks after they stayed at his house, whose side is that book really on?
I do think, if this is an honest book, I do think what Diana felt at that time is terribly important in that marriage. My only question is, did Diana confide in her younger brother? I just wonder whether that really did happen, that she told him about her misery and all the rest.
Make of that what you will. We'll know soon enough one way or the other. Something to chew on as the extracts start dropping, and they will drop in the fortnight before publication. And that's the moment we find out what he has really written. So tell me in the comments, did they get to him, or did he always want this and finally found his excuse? I read every single one of them. I always do. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who care about these stories. And subscribe. There's a lot more coming this week. The extracts are the next thing to watch. The moment one of them lands, we're going through it line by line. You'll want to be here for that one.